The rain fell like judgment that night, cold, relentless, unforgiving, and just like the storm, her voice cut through the darkness without mercy. "Get out, right now!" Marcus froze on the porch, his heart pounding louder than the thunder rolling across the sky. In his arms, his 2-year-old son clung to him, crying, trembling, confused by the chaos he couldn't understand. Behind Marcus, a pile of clothes, a torn duffel bag, and a few scattered belongings lay soaked in rainwater, his entire life reduced to something that could be kicked out in seconds. And standing in the doorway was the woman he once trusted more than anyone, his wife. Her finger pointed straight at him, her face hard, eyes filled not with pain, but with cold certainty. Don't make me say it again. Before we go deeper into this story, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I always love seeing how far these stories reach across the world. And if you enjoy powerful emotional stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to Secret Tales. You don't want to miss what's coming next, because this story will break you before it builds you back up. Marcus Elijah wasn't always this broken man standing in the rain. In fact, if you saw him a few years ago, you'd never believe this moment was possible. He was quiet, hard-working, and deeply loyal, the kind of man who believed in building a life step by step. No shortcuts, no tricks, just patience and sacrifice. He worked long hours as a warehouse supervisor, earning just enough to keep things steady. Not rich, not poor, just surviving. But Marcus had something rare. He loved deeply, and when he met Vanessa, he thought he had found the one person who would stand beside him through everything. Vanessa was beautiful, confident, ambitious. She walked into his life like sunlight, and for a while, she made everything feel warm. At least, that's what Marcus believed. "Marcus, we can't live like this forever," Vanessa would often say, pacing their small living room. "This isn't living, it's surviving." Marcus would nod, exhausted after long shifts, wiping sweat from his forehead. "I'm trying, Vanessa. I'm doing everything I can." But her eyes always said the same thing. It's not enough. Still, he loved her. So he kept trying. More hours, less sleep, more sacrifices. And when their son Jaden was born, Marcus worked even harder, because now it wasn't just about love. It was about family. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Vanessa became distant, colder. The smiles faded. The late nights increased. The phone calls became more secretive, and Marcus ignored every sign. Because sometimes the truth hurts too much to face. That night, the night everything collapsed, started like any other. Marcus came home late, his body aching, his mind heavy. He opened the door quietly, not wanting to wake anyone. But the house felt different, too quiet, too still. Then he heard it. Laughter, not from a TV, not from a phone. Real laughter from inside his bedroom. Marcus's heart stopped. Slowly, he walked down the hallway, each step heavier than the last. And when he reached the door, he pushed it open. Time froze. Standing there, frozen in disbelief, Marcus stared at the scene before him. Vanessa, his wife, in his bed with another man. The world didn't shatter. It didn't explode. It simply went silent. "I'm Marcus," she said, not even shocked, just annoyed, as if he had interrupted something trivial, something unimportant. That was the moment something inside Marcus broke, not loudly, not violently, but deeply. "You?" he whispered, his voice barely holding together. Vanessa rolled her eyes. Pulling the blanket around herself like this was an inconvenience. "You weren't supposed to be home this early." Not guilt, not shame, just irritation. The man beside her smirked, actually smirked, like Marcus didn't even exist. And that's when Marcus realized something terrifying. This wasn't new. This wasn't a mistake. This had been happening for a long time. "Get your things," Vanessa said coldly. "You're leaving." Marcus blinked. "What?" "I'm done pretending," she snapped. "This life, this struggle, it's not for me." His world collapsed in slow motion. "What about Jaden?" he asked, his voice cracking. Vanessa shrugged. "He stays." That was the first time Marcus raised his voice. "No, he doesn't." The room turned tense. For a brief moment, something flashed in Vanessa's eyes. Not love, not regret, something darker. "Marcus," she said slowly, "you don't get to make decisions anymore." But Marcus didn't move, didn't back down. For the first time in a long time, he stood firm. "I'm not leaving my son." Silence. Then Vanessa laughed, actually laughed. "You really think you have a choice?" And just like that, everything escalated. Minutes later, Marcus found himself outside, in the rain, holding his crying child, while his wife threw his life out the door like trash. "You're nothing, Marcus!" she shouted from inside. "Do you hear me? Nothing!" The door slammed, and just like that, he lost everything. Or at least, that's what he thought. Because what Marcus didn't know, what he had never known, was that his life had already changed. In a way no one could imagine. Miles away, in a quiet office in the city, a man in a sharp suit stared at a file with Marcus's name on it, stamped with a number so large it didn't look real. 50,000. "After all these years," the man murmured, "he finally needs to be found." Back on that porch, Marcus held his son tightly, whispering through tears, "It's okay. I've got you." But his voice shook, because for the first time in his life, Marcus had no plan, no home, no idea what came next. And behind the closed door, Vanessa turned to the man beside her, smiling, victorious. "You see," she said softly, "I told you he was nothing." But the man didn't smile back. Instead, he looked at her with something unreadable, something calculating, because he knew something she didn't. And as thunder cracked across the sky, as Marcus walked away into the night with nowhere to go, as Vanessa believed she had won, the truth was already in motion, a truth so powerful it would destroy everything she thought she knew. And just as Marcus reached the end of the street, a black car slowly pulled up beside him. The window rolled down. "Marcus Elijah," a calm voice called out. Marcus turned, confused, guarded, exhausted. "Yes?" The man inside the car studied him carefully, then said words that would change everything. "We've been looking for you for a very long time." The rain hadn't stopped. It drummed against the black car like a warning, or maybe a promise. Marcus tightened his grip on Jaden, instinctively stepping back. "We've been looking for you for a very long time." Those words didn't sound like help. They sounded like trouble. "I think you have the wrong person." Marcus said cautiously, his voice low, protective. The man inside the car didn't argue. Instead, he opened the door slowly and stepped out. Tailored suit, polished shoes, calm presence. Not the kind of man who made mistakes. Marcus Elijah, he repeated, this time firmer. Son of Daniel Elijah. Marcus frowned. My father died when I was a child. That, the man said, is not entirely true. The world seemed to pause again. Marcus blinked, rain dripping from his face. I don't have time for this, he said, shaking his head. I've had enough for one night. He turned to walk away. $50 billion. Marcus stopped, slowly. That is what your father left behind, the man continued, and it legally belongs to you. Silence. Only the rain spoke now. Marcus turned back, his eyes searching the man's face for any sign of a joke. There was none. I don't understand, Marcus said. You will, the man replied calmly, but not out here, not like this. His eyes shifted briefly to Jaden. Your son is cold. That broke something. Not anger, not disbelief, but exhaustion. Marcus hesitated, then nodded once. Minutes later, Marcus sat inside the car, wrapped in a dry blanket someone had handed him. Jaden rested against his chest, finally quiet, half asleep. The car moved smoothly through the wet streets, leaving behind everything Marcus thought his life was. My name is Victor Hale, the man said. I was your father's legal advisor. Marcus stared ahead. You said my father didn't die. Victor took a breath. He disappeared. For your protection. Marcus let out a quiet, disbelieving laugh. For my protection? I grew up with nothing. Struggling, working since I was a teenager. Yes, Victor said, because if anyone knew who you were, you wouldn't have lived long enough to reach this moment. Marcus went silent. Your father built one of the largest private financial empires in the world, Victor continued. But he made enemies, dangerous ones. Before he vanished, he placed everything under a protected inheritance, locked until you were ready. Ready for what? Marcus asked. Victor looked at him. For this, the car pulled into a massive gated estate. Lights illuminated the long driveway, revealing something Marcus had only seen in movies. A mansion. No, bigger than that. A kingdom. Marcus stepped out slowly, holding Jaden. His shoes touched dry marble. Warm light spilled from the open doors. People waited inside. Staff. Security. Order. Power. This, Marcus whispered, this isn't real. It is, Victor said, and it's yours. Inside, everything moved quickly. Doctors checked Jaden. Staff brought warm clothes. Food appeared. Silence replaced chaos. For the first time that night, Marcus felt something unfamiliar. Not relief, not joy. Control. Hours later, Marcus stood alone in a large office. City lights stretched endlessly beyond the glass walls. Victor placed a folder in front of him. This contains everything, he said. Your father's assets, companies, holdings, accounts. Marcus opened it slowly. Numbers, endless numbers. Properties across continents. Private investments. Ownership stakes in corporations he had only heard about on the news. This is, Marcus struggled to speak. $50 billion, Victor finished. Marcus leaned back. His mind replayed Vanessa's voice. You're nothing. A quiet shift happened inside him. What happens now? Marcus asked. Victor studied him carefully. That Depends on you. Back at the house, Vanessa woke up smiling. For the first time in months, she felt free. No more struggling. No more dead weight. She stretched, glancing at the man beside her, but he was already awake, watching her. "You're quiet," she said. He didn't respond immediately. Instead, he asked, "Do you know who your husband really is?" Vanessa laughed. "Was," she corrected him. "And yes, he's a broke man with no future." The man tilted his head slightly. "Then why?" he said slowly. "Did a private security convoy pick him up last night?" Vanessa froze. "What?" she said. "I saw it," he continued calmly. "Black vehicles, armed escorts." That wasn't random. Her confidence cracked, just slightly. "That doesn't mean anything," she snapped. "Maybe he owes money or something." But even as she said it, she didn't believe it. Something wasn't right. Hours later, she found out the truth. The call came unexpectedly, a number she didn't recognize. "Is this Vanessa Elijah?" the voice asked. "Yes, this is regarding your husband, Marcus Elijah." Her heart skipped. "What about him?" A pause. Then, "I'm calling to inform you that Mr. Elijah is now the majority owner of Elijah Global Holdings." Vanessa laughed, a sharp, disbelieving sound. "That's not funny." "It's not a joke," the voice replied. "And given your marital status, this may concern you legally." The phone slipped slightly in her hand. "What are you talking about?" she whispered. "Your husband," the voice repeated, "controls assets exceeding $50 billion. Silence. The world spun. "No," she breathed. "No, that's not possible." But it was. And suddenly, everything she had done the night before came crashing back. The insults, the humiliation, the moment she threw him out. Vanessa's breathing became uneven. Her hands trembled. She ran to the window. The street looked the same, but nothing felt the same anymore. Because somewhere out there, the man she called nothing had become everything. Meanwhile, across the city, Marcus stood in front of a mirror. Clean clothes, sharp suit, a man reborn, but his eyes still carried the pain of the night before. Victor stepped in quietly. "The board is ready to meet you." Marcus nodded, then paused. "One more thing," he said. Victor waited. Marcus's voice dropped. Cold, focused, controlled. "I want everything." Victor raised an eyebrow. "Everything?" he asked. Marcus turned, and for the first time, there was no hesitation in his eyes. "Every account, every movement, every secret connected to my life, including my wife." Victor gave a slow nod. "It will be done." Marcus adjusted his cuff, took one breath, and walked toward the door, not as the man who was thrown out, but as the man who now held the power to destroy or rebuild everything. Across the city, Vanessa grabbed her keys in panic. She had to find him, fix this, explain, apologize, anything. But deep down, she already knew some mistakes don't come with second chances. And as Marcus entered the boardroom, rows of powerful executives rising to their feet, a single thought echoed in his mind. They thought I was nothing. Now they're about to learn who I really am.